At my husband's funeral, I heard my daughter-in-law say, "Speed up the inheritance. I'm putting the old lady in a nursing home." She didn't know that my husband had added a clause about her in the will before he passed away. I'm glad you're here. Please follow my story until the end and comment with the city you're watching from so I can see how far my story has reached. If you're into stories like this, go ahead and hit that subscribe button. There's more coming. I never imagined that at 70 years old, I would find myself hiding in the background to stay away from my own family. The day I buried William, my husband of 45 years, was the day I learned just how little I mattered to the people who should have cared about me most. The funeral was lovely, if you can use that word for something so sad. St. Mary's Church was full of friends, co-workers, and family. William had been respected by everyone, a kind man who spent his life as a high school principal. He had made a big difference in many lives. I stayed strong during the service, accepting hugs and kind words with quiet strength. My son, Robert, held my hand the whole time. He made sure I ate something and gently helped me through the day. His wife, Diana, was there too, dressed in black and looking properly sad. After 2 long hours of greetings and hugs, my grief got so heavy I could hardly breathe. I needed to be alone. The funeral home had a small room for families, and it was empty now. Everyone had moved to the reception area. I slipped away without telling anyone, needing just a few quiet minutes. I sat down in a chair in the corner, closed my eyes, and let my tears fall. William was gone. My partner, my friend, my rock. 45 years together, and now I was alone. I'm not sure how long I sat there before I heard the door open. I quickly wiped my eyes, not wanting anyone to see me crying. But the people who came in didn't notice me sitting there, hidden behind a big flower arrangement. "I told you we should have talked about this before he died," Diana said, no longer trying to sound kind. "It wasn't the right time," Robert answered, sounding tired. He was already going through enough. I didn't mean to eavesdrop, but I couldn't move or speak. "Now we have to deal with her," Diana said, clearly annoyed. "You need to talk to the lawyer Monday morning. We need to know exactly what we're getting and how soon." "Please, Diana," Robert said. "My father's not even buried yet. And your mother's not getting any younger. The longer we wait, the harder it will be." I heard fabric rustle, maybe Diana fixing her dress. "Artila." My Portuguese was rusty, but I knew what she said. "Hurry up with the inheritance. I'm sending the old woman to a nursing home." "The old woman? Me?" Robert sighed. "She's not going to want to leave the house." "Of course not," Diana said. "But she can't live alone, and you know it. The house is too big. She's already forgetting things. A nursing home makes sense." "Maybe she could live with us," Robert said, unsure. Diana laughed coldly. "In our house. With my schedule. And you know how she always gets involved in everything. I can't have her judging me all the time. She's my mother, Diana. And you're my husband. This is our life, our future. Selling that house would help a lot." She paused. "The money could go toward the kids' college." I stayed completely still, barely breathing. William had been gone less than a week, and they were already making plans for my future, without me. "We'll talk later," Robert said. "Today is about honoring my father." "Fine, but don't wait too long. The real estate market is hot." They left, and the door closed behind them. I sat frozen, their words repeating in my mind. The old woman. The house. The nursing home. When I finally stood up, my legs shook. I saw myself in a mirror, pale, tired, broken by grief. Was that how they saw me? Just a problem in their way. As I walked back to the reception, one thing kept playing in my mind. William had told me something days before he died. We were talking about money, and he held my hand, his eyes serious even though he was weak. "Eleanor, I've taken care of everything," he said. "Don't worry about the future. I've made sure you'll be protected." I thought he was just trying to comfort me, but now I wondered if he knew something. When I came home from the funeral, the house felt different, emptier and colder. William and I had lived in our two-story colonial for almost 30 years. We raised Robert here, celebrated holidays, and survived tough times together. Now, the house echoed with his absence. That evening, I walked from room to room, touching his things, his glasses on the nightstand, his cardigan by the door, and the half-finished crossword puzzle on the table. These small items told the story of a life that suddenly ended. I couldn't move any of them. I didn't sleep much that night. Diana's words kept echoing. "Mundar aia pro asilo. Send the old woman to a nursing home." I had spent my whole adult life as a kindergarten teacher, loving and caring for children. I had raised my own son with everything I had. And now, this? Was I really being thrown away just because I wasn't useful anymore? The next morning, I heard a cheerful knock. Diana stood at my door, wearing a bright smile and holding a casserole. "Eleanor, I brought you some chicken pot pie. I know cooking for one is hard." I smiled politely and let her in, wondering if she had any idea I had overheard her. Had she always been like this, or was I only seeing it now? "Thank you, Diana. That's very kind." She walked straight into my kitchen like she owned it, set the dish down, and started opening cabinets. "Let me help you organize. This kitchen is just so," she paused, searching for the right word, cluttered. I watched as she moved things around, even touching the spice rack William had made for me on our anniversary 15 years ago. He had measured each shelf perfectly to fit by the stove. "I've done fine in this kitchen for 30 years, I said, more sharply than I meant to. Diana turned, a bit surprised, then quickly put her kind face back on. "Of course you have. I just thought I could help make things easier." She looked toward William's empty chair and trailed off. "Now that I'm alone and apparently helpless." The words escaped before I could stop them. Her eyes widened. "Eleanor, no one thinks that. We're just worried about you handling this big house by yourself." "It's not that big. 2 bedrooms, a study, and a water heater that needs attention sometimes, along with the yard work." I sipped my tea and stayed quiet. William and I had talked about moving to a smaller place years ago and chose not to. We loved our home, our neighborhood, and the garden we had cared for together. The water heater worked fine with regular checkups, and I hired someone for the heavier yard work. "Robert and I have been talking," Diana said, her voice gentle but firm. "We think it might be time to consider some more manageable options for you. Options like senior living communities." She pulled brochures from her purse. "There's a lovely one just 20 minutes from our house. Private apartments, staff to help if needed, meals, and activities." Had she brought those brochures to the funeral too? "I'm not ready to leave my home, Diana," I said, keeping my voice calm, though my hands wanted to shake. "No one's saying right this minute," she said quickly. "But it's good to start thinking about it. Planning ahead. Planning ahead." The funeral had barely ended. "I found something interesting yesterday," I said, changing the subject. While going through William's desk calendar, I noticed he had several appointments with Mr. Goldstein in the weeks before he passed. Mr. Goldstein was our lawyer for many years. Diana's smile faded just a little. "Oh, yes. I wonder what they were discussing. Probably just updating his will. That's standard when someone is." She waved her hand instead of saying the word dying. "Probably," I agreed calmly. "When is the will reading scheduled?" "Robert's been handling that. I think it's next week." She stood suddenly. I should get going. I have a charity luncheon at noon. After she left, I sat at the kitchen table, staring at the brochures she'd left. They showed smiling seniors playing golf, eating fancy meals, and going to art classes. It didn't look awful, but it wasn't home. I remembered William's words again, "I've taken care of everything." Had he known what might happen after he died? Had he understood Robert and Diana better than I did? That afternoon, I called William's doctor, Dr. Patterson, who had also been a friend. "Eleanor, how are you doing?" he asked, his voice warm. "Actually, I'm calling for a specific reason," I said. "In those last few weeks, did William talk to you about me? About what he worried might happen?" There was a pause. "Yes, he did." "What did he say?" "He asked me to keep an eye on you," Dr. Patterson answered carefully, "and to be available if anyone needed a medical opinion." "A medical opinion about what?" Another pause. "About your ability to live alone. He was worried you might be pressured to leave your home before it was necessary." My throat tightened. "I see. Eleanor, are you feeling that kind of pressure? It's been suggested I might do better in a senior community already." His tone sharpened. "That seems early. You're in excellent health for 70. Your last checkup showed no signs of memory problems, your mobility is great. There's no medical reason you can't stay independent." I felt a wave of relief. "Would you be willing to put that in writing?" "Absolutely. William asked me to prepare such a letter. I already have it ready. He thought you might need it." I'm William. Even when he was near the end, he had thought ahead for me. My eyes filled with tears, but this time it wasn't only sadness, I also felt thankful and strong. I wasn't going to let them push me aside. The next morning, I saw Diana's car pulling in again. This time, Robert was with her. They both wore fake cheerful expressions that made me feel uneasy right away. The fight for my home, my independence, and my self-respect had started. I didn't sleep well the night before, thinking about what they might try next. By morning, I had made a choice. I had to act, not just react. William always said planning was half the battle. When Robert and Diana came to the door, I welcomed them with a smile and fresh coffee, even though I was nervous inside. "Mom, we wanted to talk about some practical things," Robert said, sitting down where his father used to. Seeing him in that spot made my chest hurt. "Of course," I said, handing him coffee. "I've been thinking about some practical things too." Diana sat straight as always. "We've been looking at some great communities," she said, showing more brochures. "This one even has a wait list, so it's smart to get on early." I nodded like I was listening. "Before we go into that, I'd like Sandra to join us." Diana raised her eyebrows. "Sandra, the nurse who helped with Dad?" "Yes, she's stopping by this morning." I looked at the clock. She should be here soon. Right then, the doorbell rang. Sandra Peterson had been William's home nurse during his last months. She was in her 50s, had kind eyes, and didn't put up with nonsense. Over time, she had become a friend. "Sorry I'm late," she said, walking into the living room. "Traffic was awful." Diana frowned. "Eleanor, we wanted to have a family talk." "Sandra was like family these last few months," I said. "And she has professional experience that might help." Sandra sat next to me, giving me strength. She had seen how impatient Diana was when William was sick and how little she helped. "Robert, Diana," I began. "Thank you for caring about me. But I've thought this through, and I've decided to stay in my home." Diana's smile grew tighter. "Eleanor, we know you care about this house, but practically speaking, I interrupted gently, "I can live on my own just fine." I spoke to Dr. Patterson. He agrees there's no reason for me to move. Robert looked surprised. You talked to Dad's doctor. William asked him to review my situation before he passed, I explained. He gave me a letter. I handed it to Robert, who read it with wide eyes. It says you're in great health for your age, he said. Was he already convinced I was weak? I also spoke with Mrs. Winters from the hospital's social services, Sandra added. Let me know in the comments if you've ever seen something like this happen. It's wild, right? She can arrange an assessment to find out what support Eleanor may need to stay home safely. Diana shifted in her seat, looking uneasy. That seems too soon. We're only exploring choices. Actually, I said, it feels like you've already made up your mind. Send the old woman to a nursing home, those were your exact words, if I remember right. The room fell silent. Diana paled, then turned red. I don't know what you think you heard, she began, but I heard you at the funeral, Diana, I said softly. In the side room, I was sitting in the corner. Robert's face dropped. Mom, I don't blame you for thinking about the future, I continued, but I'm not ready to leave my home, and there's no real reason I should. Sandra and I worked on a plan that lets me stay here safely. Sandra nodded. Small changes like adding grab bars, getting a medical alert button, and setting up regular check-ins can fix most safety issues. I'd be glad to go over the plan with both of you. Diana stood up quickly. This feels like a trap. It's not, I said gently. I'm just being practical, like you suggested. The doorbell rang again. This time it was Emma, my 16-year-old granddaughter, unlocking the door with the key she'd always had. Hi, Grandma, she said, then stopped when she saw the room. Oh, sorry. Am I interrupting? Not at all, sweetie, I told her. We're just having a family talk. Emma, tall and thoughtful like William, looked around the tense room. Is everything okay? We're talking about Grandma's living situation, Robert explained. Emma frowned. What about it? Your parents think I'd do better in a senior community, I told her gently. What? Why? Emma looked really shocked. Grandma's doing fine on her own. She literally taught me to make lasagna last weekend. Diana's mouth tightened. Emma, adult choices are more complex than that. I'm not a kid, Mom, Emma said. And Grandma's not helpless just because she's 70. My heart swelled with love for my granddaughter, so brave and protective. She'd been visiting more often since William passed. Sometimes we talked, sometimes she just did homework nearby. Emma, could you help me bring cookies from the kitchen? Sandra asked, giving us a break. When they left, Robert sighed. Mom, I just want what's best for you. I know you do, I said, holding his hand. But what's best for me is staying in my home, with the right help. William and I agreed on that before he died. Robert looked torn, his eyes moving between me and Diana. The reading will be tomorrow, I reminded him. Let's wait to hear what William wanted before making big decisions about my house or my future. Diana stood up, smoothing her skirt. We should go. I have a hair appointment. After they left, Sandra stayed for another coffee. That went as well as it could have, she said. Thanks for coming, I told her. It really helped having you here. Emma returned after walking her parents out. Grandma, are they seriously trying to make you leave? I sighed. They're concerned, in their way. They're being ridiculous, Emma said. Don't worry. I won't let them push you around. Looking at her determined face, I felt a little spark of hope. I wasn't completely alone in this fight. Goldstein and Associates looked just like they had 5 years ago, when William and I last updated our wills. The same leather chairs, the same paintings, even the same receptionist with her kind smile and gray hair. Mrs. Bradley, nice to see you again, she said, standing to greet me. Though I wish it were for a happier reason. Thank you, Martha, I said, clutching my purse a little too tightly. Is everyone here already? Mr. and Mrs. Bradley just arrived. Mr. Goldstein will be with you shortly. I nodded and sat in one of the waiting room chairs, heart beating too fast. I hadn't slept, wondering what William had planned in those last visits to the lawyer. Robert and Diana sat across from me, Robert flipping through a magazine without reading it, Diana checking her watch again and again. How long is this going to take? She whispered. I have a charity board meeting at 2. Robert hushed her, giving me an apologetic look. Mr. Goldstein walked in, neat in his gray suit and silver hair. Mrs. Bradley, Robert, and Diana, please come in. We followed him to his office and sat around a polished table. Mr. Goldstein sat at the head, opening a thick file. Before we start, he said, I want to say I'm sorry for your loss, Eleanor. William was a good man and a dear friend. Thank you, I whispered. Now for business. He adjusted his glasses. William's will is simple. Eleanor, as his wife, you get the house and everything in it. The joint bank accounts were already in both names. There's the life insurance policy naming you as the beneficiary. Diana shifted in her seat. And the investment accounts? Mr. Goldstein looked at her with a calm face. I'm getting to that, Mrs. Bradley. William had a retirement account worth about $450,000. Eleanor is the main beneficiary. Robert nodded, not surprised. But William added something 3 months ago, Mr. Goldstein said, turning a page. It's about the house. Pause for a second. What would you do in this situation? Drop your thoughts below. My heart picked up speed. This must be what William had planned. The house at 1142 Maple Street goes to Eleanor Bradley with the right to live there for life. After her death, or if she chooses to sell, it will go to Robert Bradley. Diana leaned forward, clearly interested. However, Mr. Goldstein stressed the word condition. If Eleanor is forced or pressured to leave her home without 2 independent doctors saying she truly needs care she can't get at home, the house will not go to Robert Bradley. Instead, it will be sold and the money donated to the Alzheimer's Research Foundation in honor of William's mother. The room went still. I stared at Mr. Goldstein, barely able to believe what I just heard. William had created a legal safeguard to protect me from exactly what Diana had been planning. Robert's face showed shock, then confusion. I don't understand. Why would Dad think Mom would be forced to leave her home? Mr. Goldstein's face stayed calm. I can't speak to his reasons, only the legal choices he made. Diana's face turned pale as she gripped the chair arms, her knuckles white. This is ridiculous, she said in a tight voice. No one is forcing Eleanor to do anything. I'm simply explaining the terms of the will, Mr. Goldstein said evenly. There are more details. William created a trust to pay for home maintenance, taxes, and in-home care if Eleanor ever needs it. He thought of everything, I whispered, feeling so grateful. There's more, Mr. Goldstein added. William left each of you a letter. He handed me an envelope with my name written in William's handwriting, then gave one to Robert. There's nothing for me? Diana asked, sounding angry. I'm afraid not, Mrs. Bradley. Robert stared at his envelope but didn't open it. I tucked mine into my purse, wanting to read it in private. Any questions about the will? Mr. Goldstein asked. Robert cleared his throat. Can the condition about the house be challenged? Diana gave him a sharp look. Mr. Goldstein folded his hands. You can challenge any will, Robert. But William was of sound mind when he added these changes. He took a cognitive test to prove it. We also recorded the signing on video, which is standard in our office for major updates. I see, Robert said softly. If there are no more questions, Martha will give you copies of everything. Outside the office, Diana didn't hide her anger. "This is absurd," she whispered to Robert. "Your father put that clause in just to target me." "Diana, not now," Robert said, glancing at me. "I need to get home," I said, not wanting this awkward moment to continue. "Emma's coming after school to help me sort through William's clothes for donation." "I'll drive you," Robert offered. "That's all right." I drove myself. I'd been driving safely for 50 years, though Diana had recently started hinting that maybe I shouldn't. "Mom, we need to talk about this," Robert said with a troubled look. "Yes, we do," I agreed. "But not today. I need time to think about what we just learned." On the drive home, my hand stayed steady on the wheel even though my heart was racing. I thought about the letter in my purse. What had William written to me? At home, I made tea and sat on my bed, carefully opening the envelope. "My darling Eleanor, if you're reading this, then I'm gone and you're facing the problems I feared." I saw how Diana looked at the house and how she spoke about the future when she thought I wasn't listening. I know our son, he's a good man but easily led by her plans. "I'm sorry I'm not there to help you, but I've done my best to protect you. The house is yours as long as you want it. The money is there to keep it up and to care for you. Don't let anyone push you into a decision you don't want. Remember what we always said, we may bend, but we don't break. You're stronger than you know, Eleanor. I've seen that strength every day for 45 years. All my love, now and always, William." Tears streamed down my face as I held the letter close. Even now, William was still protecting me. When the doorbell rang an hour later, I had already calmed down. It was Emma, her backpack slung over her shoulder, her face serious. "Grandma, we need to talk," she said as she came inside. "Mom and Dad are fighting about the will. Dad mentioned something about a nursing home. What's really going on?" I led Emma to the kitchen, wondering how much I should tell my 16-year-old granddaughter. She was smart, too smart sometimes, but she was still young. "Would you like some lemonade?" I asked, trying to buy time. "Grandma," Emma said, dropping her backpack on a chair, "please don't treat me like a kid. Something's wrong, and I want to know." I sighed and poured 2 glasses of lemonade. "Your mom thinks I should move to an assisted living place." Emma's eyes got wide. "Why? You're totally fine here." "She thinks the house is too much for me to handle alone." "That's ridiculous," Emma said. "This house isn't even that big." I gave a small smile. "I think she has other reasons." "Like what?" I hesitated, not wanting to talk badly about Diana to her daughter. "Maybe financial ones." Emma's face darkened. "The house. They want to sell it, don't they?" I nodded slightly. "Your grandpa saw this coming. He added a clause to the will so I couldn't be forced out." "Good for Grandpa," Emma said with fire in her voice. Then she looked worried. "But Mom won't give up easily. I know how she is when she wants something." That was true. Diana was always determined. It made her great at her real estate job. She spotted chances where others didn't and never gave up. "I can handle your mom," I told Emma, though I wasn't sure I believed it. Emma took a long drink, her brow furrowed. "You know," she said slowly, "I could move in with you." I nearly choked. "What?" "Just listen. I'm going to state next year. It's only 20 minutes away. I could live here instead of in a dorm. I'd help out. And Mom couldn't say you were alone." I was touched by her offer but shook my head. "That's kind of you, Emma. But your first year should be about meeting new people and having the full experience." "I still would," she said. "Plus, free housing. And you'd have company. It makes sense." "Practical," I said. That was Diana's favorite word. Before I could say more, the front door opened. Diana's voice called out, "Emma, are you here?" Emma rolled her eyes. "In the kitchen, Mom." Diana stepped into the doorway, wearing her professional smile, though I could see how tense she was. "There you are. I thought you were helping Grandma sort through Grandpa's clothes." "We were just about to start," Emma said, her tone suddenly defensive. Diana looked between us, clearly suspicious. "What were you two talking about so seriously?" "College plans," I said smoothly. Emma was telling me about the programs at State. Diana nodded but didn't seem fully convinced. "Emma, can you give Grandma and me a few minutes? There's something we need to talk about." Emma crossed her arms. "If it's about Grandma, I think I should stay." "Emma," Diana said, her voice sharper now. "This is an adult conversation. I'm not a child, Mom." I gently touched Emma's arm. "It's all right, sweetheart. Why don't you start looking through the closet upstairs? I'll join you soon." Emma hesitated, then picked up her backpack. "Fine, but I'm not going far," she said, giving her mom a sharp look before going upstairs. Once alone, Diana sat across from me, her smile fading. "Eleanor, we need to talk about what happened at the lawyer's office. I thought we agreed to wait." "This can't wait," Diana insisted. "That clause William added is manipulative and unfair." I raised an eyebrow. "Unfair? How so?" "It's meant to keep us from helping you make important choices about your future. Or to stop you from making those decisions for me," I replied gently. Diana's eyes narrowed. "You think I'm the bad guy, don't you? That I just want the house?" "I think you have strong opinions about what should happen to me and this house," I said carefully. "You made those views pretty clear at the funeral." Her cheeks turned red. I was emotional. We all were. Yes, grief often reveals our true thoughts. Diana leaned in, lowering her voice. "Eleanor, be reasonable. This house is worth at least $450,000. That money could help Robert and Emma. But it's just sitting here. This is my home, Diana, not an investment. It could be someone else's home. You could live in a lovely place with people your age, fun activities, and meals, all the things you think a 70-year-old woman should want," I said softly. She sighed. "I'm trying to be practical." "So am I. That's why I asked a specialist to come see what can be done to make this house safer as I age." Diana's eyes widened. "You what?" "Sandra referred me. They're coming next week to look at things like grab bars, lighting, and maybe a laundry space on the main floor. Small things that help a lot." "That's a waste," Diana said. "You're spending money to stay in a house you'll have to leave anyway." "According to whom?" I asked. "Dr. Patterson says I'm fine living alone." "For now," Diana said, brushing it off. "But what about in 5 or 10 years? When that time comes, the trust will cover in-home help." Diana stood and started pacing. "You're being stubborn and selfish. Robert is trying to help everyone, including you, and you're making it hard. Is it selfish to want to stay in my home?" I asked. "To honor William's wishes." "William isn't here anymore," Diana snapped. "The rest of us need to move on." A rush of anger rose in me. "It's been 2 weeks, Diana. It's just 2 weeks since I buried my husband of 45 years. And already you're talking about selling the home we built together." Diana looked briefly guilty. "I didn't mean." "Yes, you did," I said, standing up. "You've made your priorities clear. Let me make mine clear too. I'm staying in this house. I'm able, and if you keep pushing, it'll only hurt your relationship with me, and possibly with Emma, who isn't as unaware as you think." Diana stared at me, not used to hearing me speak so directly. For a second, She looked unsure. Then the front door opened and Robert called, "Hello, Mom." "Diana." Diana stepped back, fixing her face just as Robert walked in. One look at us and he knew something had happened. "What's going on?" he asked. "Your mother and I were just talking about some options," Diana cut in. "What options?" Robert asked, confused. Before we could answer, Emma came down the stairs. "They're arguing about whether Grandma should be sent to a nursing home so you two can sell her house." The room went silent. Robert froze, looking from Diana to me, then up at Emma. "That's not," Diana started. But Emma stopped her. "Don't lie, Mom. I heard you on the phone with that real estate agent. You said you could list the house by summer if you played it right." Robert's face went pale. "Diana, is that true?" Diana straightened. "I was exploring options. That's what adults do." "Behind my back?" Robert asked, his voice low. "When did we say we'd wait?" I had never seen my son look at his wife that way, so disappointed. In that moment, I saw how much Diana's ambition had shaped their marriage, maybe without Robert even realizing it. "I think," I said carefully, "we all need to sit down and be honest. No more secrets. No more plans behind closed doors. Just truth." Robert nodded. "You're right, Mom." He pulled out a chair and sank into it, looking tired. "Emma, come join us, please." She walked down the stairs and sat beside me, clearly siding with me. Diana stood for a moment, then finally sat too. "I know you all think I'm the villain," Diana began, looking at me. "But I'm trying to be practical in a hard situation." "Mom," Emma said, "there's being practical, and there's being cruel." "Emma," Robert warned. "No, let her speak," I said. "Everyone gets to speak." Emma sat tall. "Grandma is fine. She's not sick. She's not confused. She doesn't need to live in a home. You just want the money." Diana's face turned red. "That's not fair, isn't it?" Emma challenged. "We see how you are with money, Mom. Always talking about upgrades, investments, and climbing higher. But this isn't just a house. It's Grandma's home." Robert ran his hand through his hair, suddenly looking more like his father than I'd ever noticed. "Diana, we discussed this. We said we wouldn't pressure Mom." "And when exactly was I supposed to bring it up?" Diana snapped. "When she's 80, 90. After she falls down those stairs and breaks her hip." "Stop it," I said firmly. "I'm sitting right here. Don't talk like I'm not in the room or too confused to understand." Diana looked briefly embarrassed. "I'm sorry, Eleanor, but my worries are real." "They are," I agreed, "which is why I'm already taking steps to make this house safer as I age." Sandra's ideas were smart. "I'm getting a medical alert system, better lighting, and someday I might need help, but not today. When that day comes, there are other choices besides selling this house and moving me out." Robert looked at me with respect. "You've thought this all through." "Of course I have. William and I talked about it a lot when he got sick." I folded my hands. "I know you're upset about the house, Diana. You saw it as an asset, something to inherit. But it's my home, and William wanted me to live here as long as I wanted. He made that clear in his will." Diana's face hardened. "That clause was manipulative." "It was protective," I replied, "and needed, it seems." The silence between us grew thick. Then, surprisingly, Robert spoke. "I'm sorry, Mom," he said softly. "Dad was right. I didn't notice what was happening." Diana turned sharply, shocked. "Robert, no. Diana, this isn't right." He looked her in the eye. What if someone decided your home or choices didn't count anymore? That you should be sent away without having a say? That's not the same, Diana argued. I'm not 70. And 70 isn't 90, I reminded her. I could stay here another 10 years or more. Emma, who had been quiet, spoke. I've been thinking. I meant it when I said I'd live here during college. It could help both of us. Robert looked surprised. You want to live here instead of in a dorm? Why not? Emma shrugged. The state is close. I'd save money and be nearby if Grandma needs help. I hadn't expected Emma to say this now, but I was touched by her support. Diana looked at both of us, clearly thinking through this change. That could actually work, she admitted slowly. At least for a while. I could almost see her adjusting her plans. With Emma here, she couldn't keep pushing the nursing home idea. And in a few years, maybe the house would sell for even more. I'm not asking for permission, Mom, Emma said. I'm telling you. Robert smiled at her boldness. It's not a bad plan, and Mom wouldn't be alone. Diana nodded slowly, realizing she'd lost for now. Fine. If that's what everyone wants. What I want, I said, looking at them one by one, is for this family to heal. William would hate what this has done to us. Robert reached across the table. He would, and I'm sorry we made things harder. Diana didn't say sorry. I hadn't expected her to, but she looked a little less tense. We should go, she said. Emma has homework, and Eleanor probably needs rest. Actually, I said, I was hoping Emma could help with William's clothes. It's time to let go of a few things. Diana paused, then nodded. Okay. Robert and I will pick her up later. After they left, Emma and I spent the afternoon going through William's clothes. Each shirt and pair of shoes brought memories. I cried a little, but the tears felt healing. You know, she hasn't given up, Emma said as we folded a sweater I decided to keep. Mom's just regrouping. I know, I said. But now I'm ready, and I have support. The months that came after were full of change, but not what Diana planned. The home updates were finished, making the house safer without changing how it felt. Emma graduated and moved into the second bedroom that fall, bringing life back into the house. Robert visited more, often alone, and we started reconnecting like we hadn't in years. Our talks were deeper and more honest. One night on the porch swing William had built, he admitted his marriage was struggling. Dad's letter made me think about a lot, he said. About the kind of man and father I want to be. I squeezed his hand to show support. Diana was still herself, focused on goals, status, and plans. But the balance in their marriage had shifted. Robert stood up to her more, especially about me. When she brought up the house again, as I knew she would, he shut it down. Mom stays where she wants, he told her. End of discussion. For me, 70 wasn't the end, it was a new beginning. I joined a water aerobics class, caught up with old friends, and started volunteering at the library's literacy program. The pain of losing William never fully left, but it became gentler, leaving space for new moments. On the anniversary of his passing, I brought fresh flowers to his grave. You were right, I whispered. I didn't break. I bent, but I didn't break. Walking back to my car, still driving despite Diana's worries, I felt peace. William had given me one last gift, the space to rediscover my own strength, to remember who I was before being someone's wife or mother. I was Eleanor Bradley, 71 years old, still in my own home, still making my own choices, still finding joy each day. That night, Emma and I ate dinner on the patio, watching fireflies dance. Her first year of college had brought new friends and hard classes, but she seemed happy. Do you ever regret skipping the dorms? I asked. She shook her head. Never. This was right for both of us. She smiled playfully. And annoying mom is a bonus. I laughed, loud and full, the sound filling the night. William would have loved hearing it. The fight wasn't over. Diana would try again. But I wasn't afraid. I had found my voice, my power, and I wasn't letting go. Thanks for watching. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe if this story hits you.